Hello and welcome to the AssemblyTV studio. This is the 64K intro compostudio and I am your host Teppo Isperia Suominen. With me here are Urs and MSQRT. Did I get it right? Yeah. Welcome guys.
Hi, thanks.
So 64K intro, only 3 entries.
It wasn't my fault, I had one.
Yeah, it's not your fault, you had one.
It was my fault, I didn't have one.
And also my fault, I didn't bring one either. But wait, hey, 1 out of 3.
Yeah, I feel kind of responsible for this because I mean I was the one who did an old school demo last year asking for the 64K compo to return, which it did.
Yeah.
But apparently I'm not sure if it was not me pushing people enough or if it was just generally not announced enough. Because a lot of people didn't seem to know.
Yeah, actually this is the thing I wanted to discuss. How do you think, how could have we gotten more 64K entries, or was there something that went wrong, went awry that we didn't get them?
Well, I heard of a couple of people that I talked to here that actually only on Friday learned that there is a 64K compo.
Okay.
And at least one person said I would have made one if I had known. So apparently, I mean, it was not big on the website. It was in the list of compos, of course, but nobody knew it was coming back. There was a small announcement in May, I think.
Yeah, that's, it's been, we discussed what, 7 years since Assembly did 64K last. So maybe we didn't broadcast it enough. Maybe it wasn't heard out there that, hey, 64K is back and you can now bring your own. Bring it.
Yeah, it really needs quite some warming up if you want to do a 64K, since it's essentially a demo where you need to do even more effort to make it small and do a synthesized music and such.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing, and if you haven't got the tools anymore, then that's...
And we actually broadcasted the demo entries, the compos we have about, what, a month ago? So if you only found out a month ago, well, you can do a 64K in a month, but, well, Urs, you're the...
I told some people, I mean, I had heard the rumor that this was being considered already before Easter, so I told people at Revision, at the big 64K compo, and they seemed interested and excited. But apparently, since there was nothing official, nobody started working on anything.
And, well, if you get to know a month before a party, if you have the time, you can make it, but if you're pressed for time, is 64K something that you would start doing in a month, or do you need more time?
Well, 64K, if you have a framework set up and everything,
if the tools are there,
everything done, and you have fighters, and you can do something in a month. But if you are somebody who has not done 64K before, it's basically, well, it's possible, but it's extremely hard to start from scratch and do a 64K.
Yeah.
Of course, you can always do a 4K over the size limit, but that's not really what the compo is for.
Yeah. And most of the major 64K groups are mostly releasing at Revision, and I would think that making 2 major productions in this time space is kind of a...
Yeah. Actually, how many big parties outside of Revision have 64K anymore? Is it...
Well, there's a couple of parties that have combined intro competitions.
Okay.
I think Soulskogen has that, Payback or the Primitive Party had that. And then there's Under Construction in Germany that has that.
So
Evoke has it as well.
So there is still a market for 64K,
There
definitely.
is a lot of options, and at least the Evoke 64K competition, and that is in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that typically has a number of entries, so it's at least it's never been that thin.
Okay, so but we had 3 entries. How did you feel about it? Well, one of them is yours, so you're biased, but other than that, what were your feelings on the 64K this time around with these 3 entries?
Well, the first one seemed and felt like a compo filler. I mean, it looked like something that would have been okay in the 1K compo, that would have been already a bit thin content in the 4K compo, and at 64K it's just not... I mean, of course it's good, it's better to have a compo filler than not to have anything at all, but it didn't seem like a serious contender.
Yeah, it kind of even felt like it was maybe sort of a back vote, like don't bring it back, I'm putting this entry in just to show you this is 64K, just do demos or something, but it did feel weird as a startup for the compo.
Yeah, but it's maybe still positive to have like 3 entries.
Yeah, I do agree.
Having a compo with 2 seems kind of ridiculous. So.
Yeah, I do agree. It's better to have that one than nothing.
But yeah, it wasn't that inspiring.
And nothing that makes you go, wow. It's nice that we have this.
Though it was one of the best like byte beat tracks I've heard.
Oh, that
at least for the length. Yeah. It had different parts and stuff. So that's kudos for that. But
all right. What else? Or should we go through the entries now?
Well, I'm not going to comment on my own, but I can
you like
on
the
last one.
Yeah, you like your own. Okay, let's actually see entry number 2, a short clip. I think it was yours.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, not mine alone, but yeah.
This has a kind of an old school vibe for me with the
fractal landscape and such.
Yeah. The fractal landscape is kind of it reminds me of 2005, 2010 area where it was just invented and everybody was trying to find uses for it. Was this something you were going for, or did
I didn't actually have that in mind. I just thought I'd do something that with not necessarily a simple geometry, but a simple concept of the landscape being the protagonist tries to convey something.
Okay.
And Red Soundtrack, just told Red like the fundamental idea of what I wanted to do, and he came up with the soundtrack, which at first I thought didn't fit at all, but then as I was starting to sync it, grew very happy with. So yeah.
Okay. What are your feelings on this one?
I felt a lot like Fermi Paradox watching this, especially the direction was very similar.
There's some parts of it that are definitely taken from it.
But I really like the idea of the 2 like faders in the screen, the black things. That was a very nice idea. It's so simple, yet it adds a lot to the direction.
What I first wanted to do is simply to have black edges and everything glowing into them, but then I noticed that it gets even more exciting if there is something still visible in the edges, and especially if the bright lights have even extra edit.
Yeah.
So
that just worked very well.
Yeah. At the start I was thinking like, why is this letterboxed? when the demo began, like, why did you do this? And then I noticed, oh, it's actually an artistic choice and you're going to use them, which made them, it makes it more interesting, I agree. It gives it a little edge of something. I can't really tell what, but it sticks to the mind. Right, and then there was the last entry. Let's watch a clip of that as well.
Yeah, Ivory Labs.
I'm kind of conflicted about the orange/yellow-blue paradigm there, but at the same time I really like the visuals on this one.
It's definitely different color scheme to what you usually see, but it kind of fits, I guess.
Yeah.
It has this eerie, different kind of a look than most productions usually.
Yeah, usually you see the dark reds and stuff like that, so it's fun to see something that's a bit more common outside of the demo scene in a demo. So,
well, it's Ivory Labs. If you look at their older releases, they never basically followed standards when it comes to color schemes. I was actually expecting it to be a lot more large orange surfaces because Ivory Labs demos had the tradition of being very orange. So this was actually much more colorful and varied.
Okay. Was there anything in this one that stood out for you guys?
Well, I mean, the beam slide said it's an 8K, so it's quite visible in both the geometry that they have and especially in the shading and how it comes out, that they were more size constrained in what they could do. Of course, the choice of colors looks like they were a bit more going to the codec color direction, which might not have been necessary, but who knows? But they worked really well with what they got. I mean, the geometry, while based on more simple primitives, definitely they made it work quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were lots of like different scenes that still felt like they fit together very well. And I was in the whole production was like a very positive surprise. I had heard on IRC that the guys are working on something, but this was different and very, very interesting to see.
Okay, cool.
I think they were hoping for an 8K compo or something like that, or if I remember correctly, they were trying to finish this already for the Revision 8K competition, and
is that so?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
Because, I mean, of course, you can always do an 8K if you want, but why would you do an 8K for a 64K competition?
Yeah.
So they could have gone over it, or maybe they just chose to limit themselves to 8K. So that's fine.
So. Well, I suppose we could use our time to discuss what does it take, how will we get more 64K entries for next year? Of course, we will need to have the 64K competition, which would, at least in my opinion, give good continuity. Since now we've got it open again, why not hold it open for at least one more year and see if we can actually get it working again? Because for me, I think 64K is a nice category. I like the smaller ones, but it gives something more. It's different.
Yeah, I also like the 64 category the most. We were actually with our group considering at some point that we would submit 64 1Ks and tell them that these are 64 reasons why you should not do the 1K but do the 64K because it's a better category. But yeah. It is definitely like you can actually do something in it. And Assembly has a lot of groups that only submit to Assembly. So I think if you didn't attend revision, you heard about the compo too late. So that's just waiting 1 year might do the trick.
I would definitely say that people did not know about this enough, because otherwise it was only 3 entries. You could always, even with less effort, do something not as fancy, not as good, not as high level, but you could do something small and cute, but people didn't, because probably they didn't know. Otherwise, I mean, I had this seminar earlier today about 64K coding, and I encourage people to not hold themselves back from releasing bad things, because releasing bad things is the only way you get good. And most people know that, and a lot of people do not have any inhibitions releasing, well, maybe not bad stuff, but simpler but cute stuff. But that wasn't here, so that must have mean that people just didn't know.
Yeah.
Or even people that didn't manage to get into 4K, they could have released here. But yeah.
So let people know, hold it 1 more year at least, see.
That I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, see if it goes somewhere. Let's hope we get that. Let's hope we see another year of 64K at Assembly.
And I will definitely talk to all the people I know that do 64Ks, that I would welcome them to Helsinki and show them around Assembly, and then we'll have a compo.
Definitely. Okay, any closing remarks on this year's 64K intros?
Well, it's great that it exists. It's great that
we've got it back.
It was small.
But it's a beautiful new start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hope we get to keep it. Thank you guys so much for joining me in the studio. Thanks for the discussion and the comments. And we've got one more show coming, so let's head out and wait for the demos.
All right.
All right. AssemblyTV out.